Do you remember what God told Noah's family to do after the flood? Did God say to settle down and build a great city? No. God said to move out to different places and have many children. But what do you think the people did? They moved to a valley that looked good to them. They said to one another, "We are great. We do not want to be scattered over the earth. Let's build ourselves a city and a tower with its top in the sky. It will show how great we are." The people were not doing what God had told them to do after the flood. They wanted to be as important as God. They were saying, "Look how great we are," instead of "Look how great God is." They wanted glory for themselves instead of God. But God is greater than anyone. God came down to look at the tower. God said, "If they are doing this, they will keep thinking up more bad things to do. We need to stop them. Here is what we will do. We will mix up their words." When people tried to make plans, they could not understand what other people were saying. If one workman said, "Hand me another brick," nobody else knew what he wanted. They had to stop building the city. Isn't God smarter than people? He had such a great idea to stop the people from building that tower. Who else could have created many different languages? Families had to move away from each other to live with people they could understand. God made it so the people did just what he had told them to do after the flood. They were scattered all over the world. The city with the unfinished tower was called Babel, or Babylon. It means confused, because the people were confused when they tried to talk to one another. Because the people chose to disobey God, their sin separated them from one another. God's plan to be with his people is much better than the plan of those who built the tower. They were trying to reach up to God and make a great name for themselves. But God's plan was to reach down to us and make a great name for himself. The good news is, Jesus brings us to God and makes us friends again. Instead of glorifying God, people chose to ignore God's plan and glorify themselves. This didn't stop God's plan to scatter the people and to form nations. Eventually, one of these nations would become God's chosen people. Through the nation of Israel, Christ would come to save the world.